Welcome everyone to Seamlss. Today was a demo session, but in today's email we talked about tax planning, and I was talking to Celeste and she really wanted to talk about tax planning, and clearly everyone else does as well, and want to know about how you can make that tax planning process a lot simpler in your firm. Skip that one because that's not correct. Today, so we're going to talk about, we're not going to talk about tax change, we're going to talk about tax planning using Seamlss, using some of the tools within Seamlss. After the tax planning part, I'll go over Seamlss in more detail on adding clients, doing end of year work, collecting that end of year information, making life a lot easier and streamlining that whole process for you in Seamlss. You know, I'm assuming everyone's on here because they've got those problems in collecting the data. Like if you've ever tried to collect data from a client, it's always painful. If you're ever trying to have a meeting about tax planning, it can be a little painful because you don't have a process. I know in my firm, previously it was very ad hoc. The client would turn up and I'd ask some questions and then I would have to prepare something. Depending on the tools that you're utilizing might also dictate how that outcome looks in your process. And I think that's key. Does anyone want to join in the chat and tell us what sort of tools you're using now to preempt your tax planning processes? Like, or happy to share what you're doing in that regard. I'd love to get some insights into how you're managing that whole process. So the old way, I think it's done by email, ad hoc, very random, probably very unstructured. The new way, obviously there's a lot of tools out there to manage tax planning. So it could be anything from your own Excel file. I think there's Change GBS, they've got a tax planning tool. Mender Gascoigne's got a very good tax planning tool. I think there's another one online, one that works. Personally, I'm just using Amanda Gascoigne's tax planning Excel workbook. Works really well. It works for me and works for my clients. Now, with Seamlss, I can collect the data, get a signed engagement letter with the pricing, with information, preempting the client as to how the process is going to work, preempting that they're going to pay me to do the work, they're going to engage me to do the work, they're going to give me some of the information before I start tax planning. So it makes that whole process for me a lot smoother and a lot simpler. And overall, I think it's going to be a lot better client experience. So obviously with Seamlss, you can create different templates, you can do it on the fly, you can send it per client. So if it was a big client group, your tax planning price might be a little bit different. So therefore you might scope it out and put the engagement letter a little bit different. If it's smaller or standard sort of process, you could just use one sort of client link to rinse and repeat that, like I will be doing this year. So what does that look like? Within Seamlss, we get leads, we onboard, we engage, we verify, we collect data, and that just continues on for the whole life cycle of the client. And that is the whole point of Seamlss. Going through a cycle, continuously collecting data and servicing the clients. So that's the next bit. Get started. So where are we going to get started? So for firms already using Seamlss, hopefully you're already aware, we're on the dashboard here. If I'm going to do a tax planning process, I will sit down with my ad team and nut out what that looks like for my firm. So in my firm, the clients are already engaged through Ignition, paying us for tax planning. The ones that aren't, we're going to upsell and give them the opportunity to utilize through Seamlss to do that as well, because that'll be in the engagement letter. No clients ever said, I'm not signing the engagement letter twice. Not to me anyway. They all just happily sign it and continue on. So what does that process look like? Well, for me, it's going to be creating an email. So we're going to draft up an email and shoot it off to the client and then get them to process the tax planning form so that we can continue on with the next part. So in today's blog, if you did read the email and you did read the content, there is a little email that you can steal from us or utilize or be inspired by. I don't really care, you can steal it. But the idea is that I'm trying to preempt the clients. You could also include some links to your own blog, website, upselling that tax planning process and why. Really sell that value that you don't want the client coming back later and going, oh, you should have told me last year. Well, at least if you're trying to inform them and get them over the line, the ones that are unsure, make it really easy. Make it easy for them to give you the information, make it easy for them to book. So in my firm, they'll book via a Calendly invite. So I'm going to send out the email. They will be able to click on the client smart link from within Seamlss, fill in the information, sign the engagement letter, and then start the process. They can also book the meeting. So there's a couple of different ways there you could do it. If you're using something like Calendly, they could book the meeting and then fill out the smart link. And if they haven't filled out the smart link, you could send them again to follow up before the meeting. Again, all this is premised off the back of that meeting, you booking that meeting and making that client experience amazing. So what does it look like? So go into forms, go into form templates, and there will be a tax planning form. So add the tax planning form, go into the tax planning form, and let's edit that form. So I'm going to go down to lead, go to tax planning, and then assess if I'm happy with what's in the form. So I might want to change the name. I might want a better form description, and maybe you want to upsell why you're doing this to the client. Again, it's all about delivering that information and making sure the client is going, yeah, I'm going to do this because I'm going to get real value and I'm going to save tax, and that's why I do tax planning. So I know how much tax I'm either going to pay or reduce the tax I'm going to pay. So this is also a great opportunity. You can catch up with the client. So I'm not sure about everyone on the call, but I feel like my firm, we don't talk to the clients as much as I'd like. So this is also a great way to get that sentiment from the client. So asking those questions, how are you feeling? How is business going? Has anything changed? You're collecting this information before you're meeting the client so that when you're meeting them, you're already going, oh, they're not going too well, or they're kicking ass, going amazing. Maybe I can upsell them. Maybe they need CFO services. Maybe they need coaching, business planning, whatever it is. Maybe they need a new trust deed. This is a great opportunity to collect that information and before the tax planning meeting. You could be asking, have they bought any new equipment? You can put a form in here. So for this, let's say the equipment. Let's add a file upload. So as a good example is the equipment. Have you purchased any new equipment this year? I'm being year because we can use this again next year. Cool. So now I'm not happy with that location. I'm just going to bring that up a little bit more. This one is the tax planning form I'm using now is for leads. So this one here, I'm going to get rid of this question because I don't care about that. And I don't care about that question. So I fixed up the form. It's talking about whether, again, this comes back to how are you rolling this out to your firm? What's the best practice? My suggestion is get them booked in. So whether the admin's booking them in and then sending the email to collect the form data so that before the meeting, you've got the information to hold a better meeting to have a better outcome. With data, you can make decisions. Yes, you can run into Xero or QuickBooks and pull a report and look at different things, but you don't always know what they're thinking, what they could be thinking, what they're doing, what they want to do. So these two give you the option of how they want to contact you and the best time. So when it comes back to the admin, they can do that. Cool. So now I've got my tax planning for business. So if you're promoting this to new clients, you could do this through a lead form, and I'll go through that in a second. But in this case, I'm creating this for current clients. So I've already got my tax planning for business just here. But in this one today, I'm going to delete that and start again. Just give me 1 second. Tax planning. Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to delete that. Done. And then I'm going to add a new one. So what are we going to call it? Tax planning for business. What's the title? Tax planning business. I'm going to come up with a cool description. The client will see this description. You could also include other things of why tax planning. Again, it just depends on that flow of data. Where is the client going in your process? So in this process, the team members rang up, booked them in, and then the admin team's going to send them the link. So Do I need the client's individual details? No. This is assuming that they're already clients, they're already in Seamlss, and they're going to log in and get started. Do I need to do an ID check? No. Do I need to add a form? Yes. I'm going to add the tax planning form. So tax planning for business. I'm already happy with that form name. So that's the form name I'm going to go with. I'm not going to do any other things. I'm going to select my tax planning engagement letter and add the client link. Cool. So now I've got a link that I can utilize anywhere on the internet. So this, I can send this QR code, email, could be on my website, anything. It's an internet link, a lot with it. Basically, if I copy the link, I can paste it anywhere, or I can click on the link and view it. So this is the landing page that the client will come to. They'll put their email in and get going. Before I get started on that, we probably should have updated our engagement letter. So let's go to the tax planning engagement letter. Here's my engagement letter, tax planning comprehensive package. So you can obviously customize this engagement letter to suit your firm. Where would you get this? Where would you create this? Go to your membership body, IPA, CPA, CA, ANZ, whatever that organization body is, collect that engagement letter and edit it to suit yourself. Obviously, you can add pricing, don't have to add the pricing. Being clear and upfront is very important to the clients. So having that information in there is really, really handy, and keeping it pretty simple. Cool. So I'm happy with my engagement letter. I'm going to progress forward with that. I'm going to go back to my client link. Back here. Here's my client link. Here it is here. I've copied it. So if I had my email, my client smart link would be in here. So admin team member, here's my list of tax planning people, book them in, cool. I've booked in Bob, send him off an email, put the link in, he clicks on the link, and then he actions it. So if he actions the link, he's going to log in. So in my case, I need to log in with a client that I've already got. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Live demos are always good. Save that. So here's my email. Hopefully this works. We're in a live environment, so it's always worked well. I'm going to submit that. So the client will log in. I get their SMS code to log in. Multi-factor authentication. Again, we want to keep everything secure. But make it easy because clients want it easy. Whoops. Wrong button. Enter. Cool. Now we're asking all the questions. So how are they going? Going great. They can obviously enter in any kinds of information here. You know, sales are up. They could ask all sorts of questions. You can have yes, no questions, multiple choice. You know, maybe they had. You could ask, did they put extra money into super? Did they buy equipment? Is there any additional things they want to discuss? Hopefully, you can also mark these as required if they are super important. So if they can say yes, no, and if they are required, then they've obviously got to fill them out. So you're going to get better information. For demonstration purposes, let's just say they did buy a new piece of equipment. I'm going to just tuck in a document here for document's sake. And would you like guidance for preparing financial stability? No, not today. What time do I want to get contacted? I want to be email and make it after 3 o'clock. Done, safe. And then they're going to sign their engagement letter. So before I have completed this, show more. Here's my plan. Here's my pricing, my engagement letter. It's got all of that in there. They're going to agree to it. They're going to complete it. There's my signature. Thanks for coming. Done. So now I've got a signed engagement letter ready for tax planning. Data's going to come back, and we're completed. Where did I go wrong there? Complete. Go away. Daniel, I'm broken it. Always when I'm in a live demo. We've done wrong here. Complete. Going. So that will go through anyway. Normally it would go through. I'm not sure what's going wrong there. So now the client has booked in. I know why, because I'm in the bloody same account. Should have logged into a new window. Give me 1 second. Demos. I'm back. Logged into the correct account. That's the problem. So Clayton's now completed the request, hopefully, wherever that went. Once I've got that information, I can then go in, collect the document, generate the document, get the information, and then go through my process. So I did this blog hoping that people would step through that process and think about it with their admin team. What's the execution like? So in my case, I've booked them in, sent off the email, got the pre-work, have the meeting, prepare the information. And if you're thinking about how's that going to work, well, I've already got a lot of the data points. I've got Xero, I've got QuickBooks, whatever it is I need. And then I've also got the extra information from today's template so that when I'm having the meeting with the client, I've already got half of my tax planning prepared before I'm even talking to the client. I'm already ready to go. Once they've signed that, you can also send off an invoice to get paid beforehand using Xero. You can attach pinch payments or something like that, or Xero Stripe if you already got that as well. And then I would also recommend having an agenda in your tax planning process. So we'll view the file. As an example, I've got the questions. Now I've got answers. I've got the files. I've got the information. I can have a better meeting. So overall, that is the process completed for tax planning. Do we have any questions, Daniel?
No, none at the moment.
No questions. Cool. So I guess the key question is, why is that making it easier? Because you can use the client link. The client smart links are key to collecting data from any client at any time via any way you want. And you can formulate that smart link to be rinse and repeat. If you're using something like proposal tool, when they accept the engagement or proposal tool option, at the end of that, you could include your smart link. So once they've accepted it on the next steps page, they click on the smart link, they go in, you get paid by the proposal tool, they go in, they start giving you the data for the engagement. If you then wanted to automate it a little bit further, once they've accepted the engagement, you could send them a link to your Calendly booking platform as well if you wanted to. Again, I recommend you sit down with your team or yourself and nut out that process of how you're going to make that client experience go from booking a meeting, filling in the form, attending the meeting, getting their tax planning work. I think that's all I wanted to cover in regards to tax planning for today. If you have any questions, email. You can check out today's blog posts outlining a lot of this, what it looks like, what's going to look great. It's a great little blog post today outlining those different steps. If you want to stay on today, by all means stay on. I'm going to give a quick demo of Seamlss for those that haven't seen the rest of Seamlss in action. As always, thanks for coming. If you are leaving, if you're staying, stick around. I'm going to do a quick demo on using Seamlss. Wayne raised his hand. Hello, Wayne.
Hello, Clado. This blog post.
Yes.
Where would we find this? Because I don't see.
Just click on news.
Oh, okay. It didn't come through as an email or anything.
Yeah, it was in an email this morning.
Oh,
but yes, go to the news, and then there's the first one there.
Okay, no worries. Thanks, mate.
Thanks for your help. Yeah, I'm always good like that. Thanks, Wayne. So if you're utilizing Seamlss, obviously smart links can be put anywhere. I'm using them at Business Edge already now for when someone wants to book a meeting. So they'll book a meeting, and then it takes them to the client link, and then they fill in the information I request. So if you're doing this via a lead link, I forgot to talk about that, didn't I? You could do the same thing with a lead link. So say, not to say lots of accounting firms aren't doing tax planning, But I do get a lot of feedback from different people and clients that come to me as new clients that they either don't get offered tax planning or don't get any tax planning available to them. So how could you automate this on your own? You could put it on Facebook, you can put it on YouTube, you can put it on your website for new clients. So what does that look like? That would look like a lead link if you wanted to triage them. So you could do a tax planning lead link. So build out your lead link, put in some information. I would have a better outline of what tax planning is about than that. So in this case, let's just do a quick copy and paste as an example. Back here. So we've got some information. Obviously, you're not going to have that. You're going to have something a bit better, but you're getting the idea. So I've got my tax planning questionnaire form. So let's add that form here. Tax planning for businesses, done. Thanks for tax. They can book a tax planning meeting with me. Save the lead link. So from this point, I'm getting new clients to do tax planning with me. And they're going to start that process of me collecting that information to do a tax planning session. If you wanted to get super differential on both, you could also do the same with a client. So with a client link, the benefit of that with tax planning is if you would have 2 tax planning ones. So one would be, could be current clients where you're not asking for ID checks and onboarding and stuff. The other option would be to add a new one, new client tax planning. So there is lots of clients out there that aren't getting tax planning advice. So you can build that up, go from there. We're going to have to collect the client details. So you're going to tick that, add new clients, allow them to add entities. You can untick request existing entities, and that means that the current clients won't do it. Add in ID checks. So the reason why I would have 2 different links, one for new clients, one for, because I don't want my current clients having to do an ID check. So you would add the Stripe ID check, add in the form. We're going to do tax planning for business, done, and then they're going to sign an engagement letter. So if I'm a new client, let's go okay, and I'm putting this on my website and new tax planning. Actually, I'm going to open that in Firefox so that it works. So if you're doing this right now, and going, I want to get some new clients, this is a superb way to do it because you can do it with tax planning.
You added the form twice, Clayton.
Sorry?
You added the form twice in the client.
New client tax planning. Thank you, Daniel. He was paying attention. Good job. We only want one. Save client as done. The idea is that I want you to get the idea of how you could leverage this to collect new clients. So if I own my own accounting firm, if I was trying to attract a new client, I could put this on my website, anywhere I can put a link. I'm going to use this email, copy, paste. Cool, and plus tax plan. Cool, submit. Now it's saying I need new names. Clayton Wood. So new client stumbles on my website. Let's go. I can add an entity. Okay, company. Add it. Let's go. And now I'm going to get an email. So if I come back over here, here's my email. Let's go. Let's start the process. Get the code. In a live environment, this is always going to work well, isn't it? Enter. Cool. So now I'm a new client and I want to do tax planning with Clayton because he's awesome. Now, all these validating items, the reason we ask for place of birth is if you're starting new companies, it's super, super handy. Put in my postcode and details here. Same address. We do validate TFNs, so make sure that clients are putting in valid TFNs. I recommend requiring bank details because if you're going to do a tax return, the bank details need to be on the front cover. Here is my cookie company. It looks it up on ABR lookup. If they have their ABN handy, it'll look it up straight away. It's a lot more unique, makes it a lot easier. Pulls through the ACN, ABN, the name. Today I'm just going to rush through this with same name, same details. So hopefully I don't go too fast, Phil. But you can see the idea is that from inception, I've got a new client. Whoops, damn it, I picked Stripe. Close. That's not going to work. I go back here. Why did I pick Stripe, Daniel? Why did you pick me up on that? So the reason we recommend Stripe is because it's going to do more validation. But the disappointing thing with Stripe is that I can't do a live demo with it. Continue. Not going to let me continue. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to sign my tax planning information. I'm going to sign an engagement letter just like I did before. But from that one link, I've onboarded and engaged the client and got all their tax planning details. So now the opportunity is they've gone from my website, onboarded, engaged, tax planning, ready, and I can sell them tax planning. Send them an invoice. Let's go. Any questions around that? No, we're good. Clearly, I'm being very, very clear and articulate. So I feel like now you can kind of see there's a few different ways. You can triage them through leads if you don't want to just take any tax planning client. You can utilize the client smart links to get new clients that aren't getting tax planning from other firms. You could do this through Facebook ads, email campaigns. You can have a seminar. You can turn it into a QR code. I have discussed this on other webinars. If you're looking at the screen right now, you'll see that you can share smart links in numerous different ways. Can this be done with FBT? 100% it can be. And you can probably see my FBT link in here somewhere. Did I do one? Oh no, that's in my firm one. Yes, you can 100% do it with FBT. So it's the same process. 2025 FBT. Control V. Let's do FBT. Do I want new clients? So I don't know. Are you really chasing new FBT clients? Probably not. You're going to do this as new clients. FBT is a nightmare as it is. But if you want to do that, you can get new clients with FBT as well. I believe there's an FBT form. If there's not, I will definitely be creating it because I'm doing it in my firm now. Looks like I've got to create a form. Close that. Let's go back to forms. Nope, there's no FBT form, Daniel. There's something for me to do after this event. Cool. Another job for Clayton. Everyone's going to be happy with me. All right, so I'll do an FBT form, but the idea would be the same principle. Bridget, that you could use a client smart link for an FBT form. Just either build your own form. If you're happy to share your form, let me know. I'd love your form so I don't have to build it myself. But yeah, put your FBT form in there. Put the information in. I don't recommend taking on new clients with FBT, but if you love it, love FBT, power to you. Select your FBT form. The client would fill it in. Whether you do a separate engagement, you could have an FBT engagement for that as well. So specifically, or you can skip it. Add the link, copy the link, send it, start that FBT process. So one of the cool ways that I've seen someone doing it the other day, they were using smart links for contact IDs. So what they did is they were getting a new entity. I think it was a non-for-profit entity. So they were onboarding Wayne Locke, but Wayne isn't their client, but they needed to ID Wayne. So they used the smart link to send him a link. He just clicked on the link and then did the ID check and nothing else. So skip the engagement letter, skip all the forms, don't enter any information. You're just performing the ID check. Pick the one that you want. They will fill it out, comes back. You've done an ID check on a contact of an entity to onboard them and tick off your ATO requirements. Is there other questions? There doesn't seem to be any other questions. I'm winning today. This is awesome. Does everyone want me to do a full demo of Seamlss now? Don't be shy to say yes or a thumb. Desiree, that's a yes, I'm guessing. Let's do it. Cool. Thank you for joining us around how you can make tax planning and FBT a lot easier this time of year. Maybe I'll look at doing FBT. Other exciting news coming out. Not L, what do you call it? FYI docs for those users of FYI Docs, it is in pre-production right now. Daniel's utilizing it, working it, making it work, and we're looking to get ticked off from FYI. So hopefully FYI will be out within a week and you'll be able to connect up FYI in Seamlss in no time. So hopefully by the time I do the next webinar, I'll announce that one. That's really exciting. And yeah, thanks for joining us. I'll do a quick demo of what Seamlss, how it works now for firms. So to get started, leads. So we have a leads manager and a leads dashboard. It's not some convoluted big lead manager like other tools, like you may be using Salesforce or HubSpot or something like that. The idea is that you're managing your leads. So you can add different actions, send them forms, things like that to triage the client, to collect more information, just in case you want to bring them on as a client or not bring them on as a client. You can sort them out via different methods from the top menu here to decide who you're going to action and how you're going to manage it. You can sort the list out via whoever the manager is. Obviously, Clayton's got nothing assigned to him. Needs some more work to do. Adding a lead is really easy. You can obviously just put it in there yourself manually, pick the category, give it a value if you think there's some money in it. Add different tags, sources, attach it to a manager, attach it to a partner if you want. Done. Leads in there. Now they'll show up in your list. And now you can start managing leads. I just briefly touched on lead links. Lead links, I think, is where the power of leads are from, because with a lead link, you can triage clients. You can collect other kinds of information for clients or on behalf of clients. Here's a couple of examples here where you can collect some new employee information from one of the employees of a client, get the employee to fill it out. You're getting two-factor authentication via, they've got to confirm their email and get the email to start the link. Proactive accounting meeting is my number one thing. That's where I'm getting the information before I have a meeting with a new client. That is managing leads. And then obviously once they've filled that lead out, it comes into the list here. And then you can download the documents and the information that they've given you to make a more informed choice of whether you want to bring that client on. Cool, so that is leads. Oh, the other thing, obviously, you want to onboard as a new client. You can start onboarding a client from a lead. With any lead, you need name, phone number, and email. You can start adding entities, do the ID checks, attach forms, and request additional documents and information. If you don't want to use leads, you don't have to use leads. It is handy, but you don't have to use it. So let's just add a client. Put in the person's name and details. We'll put in Clayton here. I will use my email address again. Once I find it, put it here. Copy. So paste that. The old mate. I'm not going to do an entity because we just showed you that before. Let's do some ID verification that I can actually do this time. Wayne, you've got a question?
In leads,
Yes.
when you add an action to a lead,
Yes.
it doesn't seem to refresh automatically.
No. I'll get Daniel to see if he can work on that.
Come on,
So
Daniel.
what do you mean by refresh? Just need it to like refresh the page.
action doesn't appear.
You've got to refresh the page.
You've got to refresh the page, yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you. I'll let Daniel know that.
Thanks, Daniel.
Maybe you'll come back in the chat too. So we'll do an ID check. This time I'll just do the easy ones, avoiding Stripe at all costs. Stripe is great, and that's what I recommend you use. It's just that during a demo, it doesn't work with the cameras and stuff. So I'm going to skip that on this one and make it a bit easier because we don't have all day. In this case, I'm onboarding Clayton. Let's just say he's got a rental property. I'm going to collect the beach house information. You could use ITR tools. In this one, you can also use ITR tool, very underutilized function that a lot of firms aren't using. I do recommend you check out the ITR tool. If you have pre-fill, you can also include the pre-fill information. So in this case, let's just say this is the pre-fill. And now, obviously, it's going to be hard to use pre-fill with a new client, but imagine if you're using it with a current client, you would definitely be sending them the pre-fill. I'm going to use the tax return engagement letter today. I'm going to customize it. Here's my pricing. Cool. I can update it, adjust it, but at least Clayton's going to see the price and action it. Cool, done, send. So now I've added the client. There he is there, done, cool. And I can also copy that link. So if you having a problem where the clients aren't always getting it, you can copy the link and send it manually through your own email system if you want now as well. And that's the bit of feedback. Again, I love feedback. If you give us feedback, we can do stuff with it. Thanks, Wayne. Makes it a lot easier. Here's my request just here. It's all pretty much instantaneous. So that's this request here. Open, show me the request, Gmail. Start the request, let's go. Here is the request, let's get the code. Again, multi-factor authentication, but no passwords, makes it easy for clients. We want to make it easy. I'm not sure if you've ever used Zero Sign, but what a painful process if you don't have a Zero account. This guy's a young fella. Again, I'll put in some details, go as fast as I can. Again, we're going to validate TFNs are real TFNs. Save and continue. So here is the beach house. I can drop in some documents and things like that, put in the rent, put in some expenses. Oops, clumsy thumbsies. Put in some information there. Cool. You can obviously, hopefully the client will drop in BMT things and things like that. Save and continue. Here's my ID checks. Just before I get there, there is some help information. So the client can actually get help while they're in the middle of doing the process. So they do get a lot of help guided by Seamlss. We do suggest a bunch of different things that they can upload and help you verify them through the ETO with. In this case, I'm just going to use my dodgy looking license and maybe it was a notice assessment. Continue on. Here's my ITR tool. So why is the ITR tool so powerful? So it's like an online tax return tool. You can include this in a smart link. The only difference is you can't include the pre-fill. So it's going to look up ANSIC codes. So you're going to collect the information that you need to do the tax return. Do they have a help debt? Yeah, I've got a help debt, $5,000. Cool. With the recent tax announcements, probably going to be less. Now here's the better part, is they can view their pre-fill and agree to it or disagree to it. Nah, interest is wrong. Cool. So I'm collecting that information, continue on. Now it's going to ask me like a work paper style Q&A. So the reason why we ask yes or no is because then they're saying, no, I didn't have anything additional that we're missing. Maybe they've got a dividend. Maybe they've got CBA. It's got a $1,200 franked dividend. They can attach the document and continue on. Maybe they want to add more. Maybe they've got lots of dividends. Rental properties, common one. So put in the beach house again. So you could use a fetch form or you can use the ITR tool. The ITR tool is less customizable, but still fantastic for completing the process because it's all done in a structured, dynamic way for the client. Say that, they can add one, they can add many rentals. Sole trader form, same deal, they can upload some documents, things like that. So with motor vehicles is a great example where they've got the 5,000 kilometer method, but maybe they're really, really tricky and smart and they do the logbook method. So they can put in all their costs in here and how did they buy it, what did they do, collecting all that key information you need to prepare the tax return. Maybe they've got other work-related information. I bought a computer, $1,000. I use it 50% of the time because this client would always tell you the exact right amounts. Continue on. Do they have a spouse? Yes, no. So again, it's all being dynamically created on the fly, depending on the way that they answer the questions. Family and health, when do they want the tax return by? I want it last week. Done, completed, thanks for coming. Continue on, I've done all my tasks and I'm gonna sign. Here's my engagement letter. Oh, look, the prices, I love it. I'll pay that, thank you very much. Confirm and continue and sign. The one thing I didn't show you on the other one was the agent linking. I'll come back to that in a second. So now Clayton's completed. He's done his engagement. With the agent linking, I'll just show you that briefly now. So I'm going to switch to client view in this screen. Here is the agent linking. So if the client gets to that last screen and they added an entity, because I didn't add an entity, it doesn't show agent linking. If I add an entity, it'll say, have you done your agent linking? The beauty of Seamlss is that most clients will go through this pretty quickly. So yes, I've got my MyGov ID. Yes, I've linked my ABN. Here's the agent linking. Click on this, it opens up, it gets started, they can log in and get going. It's pulling your tax agent details from Seamlss, displaying it to the client. Step by step, off we go. Again, here's all your details. And then right here, they can confirm that they've linked the entity. So in this case, I'm going to say, yep, I've linked my entity. That sends an email to the firm to say, add Clayton Wood to my firm so that I can do my tax stuff. Let's go. Now, the beauty of it is if they don't have MyGov ID set up and they say no, it steps them through the process. Bring the ATO, get strong, because if they don't have a passport, they can't get strong. If they haven't got their MyGov, my ID linked to their ABN, it will step them through and say, here's your ABNs, connect them up, step-by-step process. Get it done. Cool. Now, if I flick back to the other screen, go back to the firm view. We'll finish up with Clayton. Here's Clayton Wood now. So think about the process that we've done. Clayton could have done from a smart link, could have sent an email, or I've sent a request off manually and changed his engagement letter. But there's multiple ways I could have brought Clayton into my firm. Could have signed a proposal and then onboarded. He's given us all of his details. I'm going to add him to the ATO portal, do the ID check. Yeah, looks like Clayton. He's got the right information. Suggest what he's given to me. How did I cite it? Was it in person? Was it online? Was it electronically? And it was good. And I'm going to delete the document. Now, we delete the document automatically within 7 days. We don't keep a copy, and we don't recommend you do either. Why? Because the ATO doesn't require you to, and cybersecurity best best practice would be not to keep that. There are some other apps that do PDF print that stuff. I don't recommend that at all. You don't need to. Don't keep it. Don't become a honeypot. Maybe they've sent you a note of assessment, passport, other tools, documents that you're going to manage. If you're thinking, oh, what do I need? In this case, I've got my logs of what, who, what, where, when. That's what the ATO requires to say that you've successfully verified that person. Now, if you're not sure if this person is who they say they are, that is your requirement. It's not to get a green tick from an app or something like that. You need to be reasonably sure they are who they say they are. If you're dealing with someone online, you're like, oh, I just don't know about this person. Ask for additional information. Do a source identity check and say, hey, please send me your note of assessment. Send me your back statement. Send me your passport. It's also a really great added benefit if you're onboarding a different client. I'll use Wayne as the example before. He was a non-for-profit, and I've got Wayne's working for the not-for-profit, but he's not my client. But I might want to say, hey, he's not really, he's not my client. So I'm not going to add him to the ATO portal. So I might say, send me something that says you're working on behalf of the business. Send me something that identifies you as attached to that entity. So Seamlss allows you to collect other things in order to do your ID checks. Now, how do you do your ID check? There's a little help guide here. We step you through the process. We list out all the different things that you can do as a tool for doing an ID check. With the entities here, I didn't add an entity. I have to go back and show you the agent linking. Remind me in a second. Maybe I'll go back. No, I need to go in here. I went into, if Clayton did put an entity in there and he said he did his agent linking, you could say, no, you lied, and you could update those links. So update that. Now I can send him a reminder. He gets the email, clicks on the link, does the agent linking. So Seamlss, I think, is one of the only apps that has that bit of feedback for it, where once Clayton's onboarded and not agent linked, you can send him a reminder. If he does the agent linking, you get a notification that said he's done it. So you've got a bit of a feedback loop there, and I think that's really, really, really handy for accounting firms. So on Clayton, here's his form. He's filled out all the information. We can download the documents. Here's all the documents. I'm going to view the engagement letter and add it to my portal. Here's all the information as that we wanted. Notes, history, who did what, where, and when, and you can obviously delete client if you wanted to. So think about it from the whole point of view. We've onboarded Clayton. We've added him to the portal. We've done his verification. We haven't really keyed in a whole lot of information, but now I'm going to push him to Zero Practice Manager. So you can pull information from XPM and you can push information to XPM. Right now, Seamlss is looking up my Xero Practice Manager account and trying to find some matches. So it's matching on part TFN, matches on names, it can match on addresses. It's giving you a whole bunch of different options here. With Clayton Wood, the problem is this one is I've already synced it somewhere else. I'm not going to sync it today, but as an example, you can just push sync and that will push it to Clayton. Now, if that's not the right Clayton, you can just add them as a new entity. The idea is that you want to make sure that they are who they're not who they are. So you want to make sure that your XPM is a single source of truth. So you can do nothing with the data, or you can pull the data from XPM when you sync. If I push sync, it'll sync in a second and it displays. Now, why don't we auto sync? A few people have asked that lately, and they're like, "Oh, just auto sync like everything else does." I'm a firm believer that you want XPM as your single source of truth. To maintain that, you don't want clients updating data and then pushing junk data into your XPM automatically. Because once it gets into XPM, it's going to proliferate through to FYI and BGL and all the other documents. So if they incorrectly put the wrong address or something on a company or something that's actually important, it's bad. Whereas if you're sending out the request and it comes back and then the admin team goes, yep, I'm going to sync and update, that's kind of telling you and signaling you to go and update those details in those other entities. So hopefully you can understand that's why we don't auto sync. In this case, just for today's test, I'm going to delete the client, but we will go back to Clayton over here, just so I can show you to push to XPM again, where you can push the button and then it's just in there, as per today's example. Is there any other questions? So here it is here, push, pull, sync and merge. That syncs, took all of 2 seconds. If I was onboarding a new client, my admin team has done this in the background. So by the time they've booked in, admins verified them, added them to the portal, pushed them to XPM, created the tax returns, I'm sitting in front of the client having a meeting about business, about the tax return, not about what's your phone number, what's your address, what's your bank details. We're having meaningful discussions. And I think that's the important part. It will match companies, partnerships, super funds in the same way based on TFNs, ABNs, addresses, and things like that. So that is that. Touch on forms. So as you've seen before, you can build your own form. You could use one of our forms, one of our mini templates. You can also you can duplicate the forms you've already got. So if you created a form and you're like, oh, I want it the same but a little bit different, you can duplicate it, create another one. Templates are in there, settings, turn on your notifications. The data center allows you to import the clients from XPM into Seamlss, add your entities and things like that. Setup, you can set it up on your own if you want. There's not a whole lot to it there. You can book sessions with me to help you do the training. There is a help guide here inside Seamlss. How do you get started? It's pretty easy. On our website, you start for free. There's a big old button here. You do it through Xero, but Xero takes a cut. Getting started, set up is a little guide here. There's a bunch of guides on how to use the app. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube. We do have some other onboarding options now as well with the Seamlss packages, so you can get us to support you with your onboarding, and that includes some training sessions where you'll do one-on-one sessions with either myself or Celeste to make sure you're maximizing the use of Seamlss and implementing all those client links. And
Celeste.
Celeste is an employee that works at Business Edge. She is my practice manager that manages all the job flow and work. And
No, I know who she is. I said use her.
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, she's the expert trainer. Yes, there's a reason why I'm getting her to do. She's actually a TAE qualified, so she's qualified to be a TAFE teacher. So you actually have someone that is good at training as well, not this guy. Yes, I am great because I know about accounting firms and stuff, so I can help guide you through what works for us, what has and hasn't. And I love to learn about what works for other firms. But Celeste is amazing at actually training people. So that's why I'm leveraging Celeste in that training sense. But you could obviously request me at the same time if you really wanted me. Back to my little thing. So yes, get started. Start a free trial. It's really easy. What's everyone else doing? I don't know. What's coming up is probably key. So I don't think Daniel has an exact timeline on FYI docs, but I know it's in pre-production. He's running the tests, and hopefully we'll get that ticked off with FII in the next week or so. So hopefully it'll be live by next week. OneDrive is also coming in the connection. Hopefully Daniel will push that live soon. There's some more changes around contacts and things that you'll be able to do more with contacts. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about. Yes, there's lots of templates already there, Nathan. There's a whole bunch. Go to town. The only template clearly that I've got to build is the FBT one, which can be quite difficult because it's FBT and it can be quite long and cumbersome. Lost what I was talking about now. Don't be sure if you have any questions. Are there any groups codes in there, or do you need them done? What do you mean by that? Do you mean like relationships and stuff, Bridget? So with the changes to contacts, there's the change that's coming soon that will allow more contacts-based requests. So you don't have to do the client part, but there is further development being done by Daniel to improve the way that you sync relationships and pull relationships within Seamlss and XPM. So in the coming months, you'll see a lot more changes around that. I think that's what you're talking about, around groups and codes. I think it's also going to, in Leads, you can see where we've started to implement a little bit of this with Partner Manager. So the goal with Partner Manager is to allow people to start display the data in a different way and sync Partner Manager to XPM. So there is more coming in that in the coming months. I can't say what the rollout is. I will just check if I'm allowed to talk about one thing. Clearance. Just check with Daniel. If he can comment that in the chat, then I'll talk about that as well. The next thing that I really want. But there is a whole lot more coming in the coming months, and I'm really excited to share it with you. Hopefully today's session with tax planning and a quick overview, everyone's got a great understanding of how Seamlss really helps you in your firm. Did I explain about re-engagement? I don't think I did I? If you're not using re-engagement is amazing for keeping on top of your work. So we're nearly finished all of our work for the year, and I believe it's 100% due to re-engagement. So if you're going to call in a job, so if you're in your firm and you're figuring out what the roadmap looks like for the client jobs, for me, it's going, Clayton's job's due 15th of May. He hasn't sent us stuff. Let's call Clayton's job in. So you can send him in for re-engagement. The admin team would go and prepare this. They'll go, Clayton, here's his entities. He's going to confirm that these addresses and details are the same. We also want to collect his end of financial year information. Maybe he's got some rental properties. So we'll collect the rental property for the beach house. Whatever it is, you add those forms and build it up, send it off. When it comes back, you've got confirmed addresses, bank details, the documents to start the job, like bank statements, loan documents, assets, could be livestock numbers, whatever it is that you need to create the job. Once it comes back, offload it to the accountant and say, it's all ready to go, off you go, off you trot, let's go. That's how you use the re-engagement function. Apologies for today being a bit all over the shop. It's a little bit different. We have taken nearly an hour. This is like one of the longest webinars we've done in a while. If you have any requests for what it could look like for the next one, sounds like maybe it's an FBT, but FBT is kind of nearly done. You should have probably done something by now, but if you're anything like me, you're probably not quite ready for it yet, so maybe we'll do that as well. Cool. I will announce what one of the next cool features that I want. I'd love some interaction if you think it'd be handy. So with the change to contacts, what it's going to allow us to do is add ethical clearance. So what that's going to look like is that if I add Clayton Wood and I'm going to send out an ethical clearance, there'll be a button down here where I will send it off and it'll go, hey, Wayne, I'm taking Daniel as my new client. He'll get an inbox email. He'll be able to log in to Seamlss, upload Daniel's documents so that Clayton can collect all of Wayne's old clients' details from Wayne. So Wayne would be able to upload trust deeds, financial statements, depreciation schedules, anything you're asking in that ethical clearance. And Wayne would also be able to go, no, you can't have Daniel. Daniel still owes me money. And therefore, you're getting that contact information back from Wayne via the ethical clearance process in Seamlss. And it's keeping it all secure and off email. And I think that's one really key thing that I really want to implement, is to get that next level of ethical clearance data off email and into Seamlss. Can anyone tell me if that would be a good idea? Hopefully people are still listening. That would be great. Cool. Because I need to get confirmation to tell Daniel, be like, yes, let's do this. Excellent. So yes, I'm really excited for ethical clearance. I think that will be that will just add another level of that security and get that stuff off email. I'm sure everyone's just like me, and they're probably still doing their ethical clearances via email. So yeah, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to make that happen and make those changes come to life. I'm pretty excited by that. On that note, I think I'll wrap it up. That's all done for the questions. Yeah, thanks for joining us. I will stop the recording. Go in here. Finish recording. Stop.